Hi guys, it's Ray here from City Fan TV, and I'm joined by a smiling, well, little smile there, Bernard Deneen from the Citizen Channel. Bernard, how are you feeling this weekend? I heard you went to a good game of footy on Friday night.
Yeah, left it late, mate. But there's only one winner, really, wasn't in that game? I think.
Yeah.
I think Tottenham were playing for a replay at the Etihad the way they were playing.
They were crap, weren't they? They didn't really offer that much. I mean, give them their credit. They played their part. They worked hard.
They were there.
Yeah, they were there. That's it. They worked hard in a two-horse race. They came third. That was it. Yeah, guys. Obviously, City on a good run now. Is that 7 wins on the bounce? I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And we're rolling on to a game against Burnley.
It should be 8.
Oh, Bernard, don't do this to me, man. Don't put the hex sign on it. Anyway, yeah, we're going to play against Burnley on Wednesday night, and we are going to preview that game for you guys. I'm going to have a look at Burnley on the table. Start at the bottom and work up. It's not far to go. Burnley are second bottom. They've won a miserly 3 games this season. And in their 21 games, it's not too bad. They scored 21 goals, but I think 5 of them were against Sheffield United. And they've let in 42. So basically, on average, they've lost each game by 2 goals to 1.
Yeah, they're not getting hammered. I don't think they're getting hammered, are they?
No.
I think there's the odd game they might have let 3 or 4 in, but usually they're losing by 1 goal. 1-0, 2-1, something like that.
Well, they haven't done themselves any favours. I mean, they drew with Luton in their last game.
That was a bit of a... I didn't see it, but I believe that was a bit calamitous, wasn't it? At the end,
it was right. I think wasn't there a foul on the keeper or something?
Yeah. Well, we're seeing a lot of trouble with that at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, before that, they'd lost 3-2 at Villa. They'd lost 2-0 at home to Liverpool on Boxing Day. They'd beaten Fulham 2-0 away just before Christmas. Lost 2-0 at home to Everton. Drew 1-1 away at Brighton. I think I didn't lose that late. I can't remember. Or ended up drawing that late. They lost 1-0 to Wolves before that, and that game against Sheffield United where they won 5-0, but Sheffield United had a player off and they were abysmal. Before that, they lost 2-1 at home to West Ham. Before that, 3-1 away to Arsenal. 2-0 at home to Palace. They got panned by Everton in the Cup. Before that, EFL Cup. It's all a lot of tight games. Bournemouth, they lost 2-1. A couple of bad spankings. They lost away at Brentford 3-0. Chelsea 4-1 at home. They beat Luton at theirs. So, you're right. You go back through the season. They got battered by Spurs 5-2, but they drew with Forest. Lost to United 1-0. Lost to Newcastle 2-0. They're not bad results, really. So, what are you expecting? Do you think Vinny's going to be able to do anything? Because I just think he's going to carry on playing the same way, and they're going to get. There's a few things to consider. I think they're going to get relegated the way they're playing. Having said that, obviously, if Forest and Everton get docked some more points, it's going to make it very tight. There's a lot to talk about. So let's start off by talking about. Let's talk about Vinny. How do you think Vinny's doing in his first season in the Premier League?
Not very well. He's not changing tack, is he? I think he has to try it. It's all right playing a certain way, and it worked in the Championship. Of course it did. But very early doors, I think after a handful of games, I was on it was September. Yeah, I went away in September. I was chatting to a Burnley fan. Believe it or not, there was one on the coach to the hotel. It wasn't my hotel. He was going to a different one. So I was having a bit of a chat to him, and they're just not happy with the fact. I think they only played about 5 games, and they were starting to whinge about how they were playing, and it can't work in the Premier League. He hasn't got the players to make it work. Yeah. So they're a bit disgruntled, and they've had a couple of, as you pointed out there, a couple of sort of highlights, if you like, that have probably eased it a little bit. But yeah, I mean, there's only one Pep, isn't there? There's only one Pep can make a silk purse out of a cow's whatever whatever the saying is, and Vinny, lovely bloke, but he's got to learn. He's doing good. He won't do him any harm, will he? Let's face it. But I can't see him seeing out the season, mate. I can't see him getting to the end.
He's not pragmatic enough for me. And I think we discussed it before. I think he looks at it and says, well, Pep in his first season at City, wasn't pragmatic. He stuck to his guns and we were not doing very well. But we came through that season. We finished third, I think, in the league. And that's basically all that mattered. Next season, we were Centurions, 100 points. Then we were formidable. So he laid the ground in. And maybe Vinny's thinking the same. I'm going to stick to my guns. Pep did it. Pep's Pep. There's a big difference. Now, look, looking at the docking of the points and how it affects everybody. Everton were docked 10 points. They're now on 17. Forest are on 20. Luton on 16. Burnley on 12. Only 12. And Sheffield United on 10. Here's the thing. Everton have appealed their docking of points. Let's say for argument's sake, that Everton end up instead of 10 points, it comes down to, let's say it comes down to 6. They say, all right, okay, fair enough. We'll dock you 6 points instead of 10. But they got this other charge. Now, if that other charge, if they say, well, we're going to dock you another 6 points for the other charge, they lose another couple of points. They're down to 15 points. That's one win away. Okay, goal differences are going to help. What about Forest? What if Forest get docked 6 points? They'll be 2 points ahead of Burnley. So Burnley could conceivably be only 4 points away from getting out of the relegation spot. So it's going to be very, very tight. And I just think, if we get to 28, 29 games and they're still within shouting distance, but they're not putting a run together, maybe they just say it's about time we parted company. Get big fat Sam in or something. Get Tony Pulis in or whoever.
I don't know what the owners are like there. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Whether don't know what their mindset is doing, what they're trying to do. Personally, I don't. Apart from the teams you just mentioned, Forest and Everton, I don't think there's anyone else who's going to get dragged into that relegation. There's always like 4 or 5 teams out of the bottom 3 usually look as though they'll get dragged in, don't they? But I can't see it this season. To
be honest, Palace are on 21. They've been struggling, Palace. But they don't concede too many. They let 34 in 21 games.
Yeah, I just don't have that inkling that there'll be anyone added to the mix.
Well, to be honest, Brentford have got 22 points. They're struggling, but Tony's back. So I think that'll do them. And I think Fulham...
Just in time for us. Yeah, well done,
mate. Yeah. But I think everybody else will be all right. So I think the relegated teams are probably... For me, I'm going to include Palace just because of... they had 1 win in the last 5, which has got 5 points in 5 games. Brentford have got 3 points in 5 games. Fulham, 3 points in 5 games. Bournemouth are on a good run. They just lost the last 2. But you look at the bottom of the table, Sheffield United, 2 points in 5 games. Burnley, 4 points in 5 games. Luton have got 7 in 5 games. They look the most resilient. Everton, 4 points in 5 games. Forest have got 6. So it's going to be tight. And I think that's the only way Burnley are going to get out is because of the docking of points. Because if Everton, I can't see them, that tribunal saying, the appeal saying they've admitted their guilt and everything else. They've got the 10 points. I can't see someone coming back and saying, actually, it was 10 points. We reckon it should only be 3. I can't see it being that much. I think Everton will be there, and I think Forest will be docked some points, and it might be 3 or 4 points, it might be 5 or 6. If it's 10 like Everton, and Everton...
Oh, they're in trouble. Yeah, Forest will be in trouble.
Well, here's the trouble. If the independent panel say, well, actually, 10 points seems right. And you know what? Here's another 10 points because you've got the second charge.
Everton I still believe Everton to get out of it. They got another 10 points on top, to be honest with you. I still think they will.
Everton got docked
another 10 they've got the mindset to get out of it.
They might have the mindset, but they don't have the points. If they've got docked another 10 points, they'll be down to 7 points.
And them bottom 6 teams, Everton are the best. Everton are the best team in that bottom 6.
Oh, yeah.
By a long way. So they will pick up more points than the other guys.
Yeah. All right. But, to be honest, Everton, without the 10 points docked, they'd be mid-table. They'd be on 27
30, points. Then they might struggle.
Anyway, so Burnley fans, look, we've tried to find a convoluted way of you guys staying in the Premier League. And unfortunately, you're going down. Okay, so we kind of agreed they're not pragmatic enough. Enough about Burnley. Have you been? I'll ask you this question. I mean, even though the game's at home, have you been to Burnley away? Ever done that?
Oh God, yeah. Back in the day, mate, it used to be when we used to take Turf Moor over. You could hardly find any Burnley fans. It was all City when I was going. Quite good fun. Then it became segregation and tickets, so it became harder to take the ground. Like it was in the old days.
Well,
I remember what a horrible. I mean, I always liked Burnley because it was like the Kippax on the side, the stand on the side.
Yeah.
And the very first time I went, it was. I mean, I look back now and it's shocking, but obviously it was the 70s, and it was just literally Burnley fans being chased all over their own ground and legging it. It was, from a young boy's point, from a 13, 14-year-old point of view, it's fantastic. But not good, mate. But
the thing is, first time I went to Burnley, it wasn't to see City play. It was Burnley versus Cardiff.
That'd be nasty.
Well,
Cardiff were never massive in numbers, but obviously that attitude.
It nearly turned nasty because Burnley needed something. They needed results to go their way. Was it last game of the season or something, or second to last game or whatever? It was been 89, 90, or 88, around that time. And I went with a mate of mine who's a Cardiff fan. We were at uni at the time. And my dad, he had some business with Burnley and with a few clubs around Manchester. There was Burnley, there was Oldham, Bury, Stockport, City. Those are the ones I can remember. And Bolton. Yeah, I got free tickets for Bolton, Oldham, Burnley.
Rochdale?
No, never did anything with Rochdale. I don't think. But City never offered us any free tickets. They were. Without going into too much.
Oldham, I went to Oldham quite a lot in the when City were too far away. I got the bus to Oldham, and it's funny you can mention Cardiff because that's the only other time I got into trouble at City games, of course, in those days. But the only other time I nearly got my head kicked in was Cardiff. Cardiff were at Oldham, and I got mixed up with a big bunch of Cardiff fans. Oh God!
Well, I used to live in Oldham.
I felt like saying, so I'm not even an Oldham fan, guys. Leave me alone. Go away. But they just gave me some verbal and moved off. So
I wasn't an Oldham fan, but I had a good mate of mine at school who was an Oldham fan. I lived in Oldham, and we sometimes get free tickets at school because Oldham couldn't fill their ground. And sometimes I go with my mate and whatever. But that Cardiff game, nearly trouble because my mate, he was chuffed because I think Cardiff were going to get promoted or something, and Burnley weren't. And that result, I think Cardiff won or whatever. And he was quite pleased. And we were in the Burnley section. So fans around us, you don't even go, woo! You don't even do that when you're in the away or the wrong end. You stay quiet. Do it on the train on the way home or something. But don't do it. Especially when I'm there. I'm not a Cardiff fan. I don't want to get rumbled because of this guy. I don't want to get in a ruck, Anyway, so there you have it. Anyway, but let's go through team news for the FA Cup. Anyway, I think it's still going to apply. The injury news: Akanji's he was out for the Spurs game. He ain't going to figure at all.
No,
don't even know what's wrong with him yet. Haaland, he's only had 2 training days, so I can't see him starting. Stonesy was on the bench, but again, I can't see him starting.
No.
Doku was dropped. He was dropped for me. He was dropped because he didn't play well enough for the previous game.
Yeah, and he didn't do himself any favours this time, did he? Pep nearly got him by the neck and dragged him off the pitch at one time.
Yeah, because he was he
showed Grealish. I see Grealish for this Burnley game, mate. Definitely.
Because Oscar Bob did not. Well. No, I take it back.
You don't want to show these reels on the YouTube, not YouTube, but you see them on Twitter.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
You have the reels, don't they? This is his game, and I was watching one on Oscar Bob for about 2.5 minutes, and I thought, he did all right. But I thought he's overwhelmed. He wasn't doing anything. But
you see, when I watched the game, I said he's not in the game. It's passing him by too much.
Yeah.
But then when I saw the highlights, it's like Oscar Bob put that's a good cross. That
he was doing exactly what Pep probably told him to do.
Yeah,
keep hold of it, just move it on. Don't take anybody on. Just keep hold of it.
But actually, I think the unfortunate thing for Bob was in the second half, we were Bob at the start of the second half. They were on top, and that's why the game was passing him by. First half, when we were well on top, he did contribute, and look, we were unlucky that Spurs game because you say we staggered home like a drunk, who's had a few too many pints at the pub. But Bob was a couple of inches away from being onside. We had numerous chances. I think Alvarez should have got one. We had a couple of, well, obviously, KDB's. We had, I think, 3 probably pretty decent chances, and then we had the goal. So we deserved it. We could have beat them by a lot. And then we wouldn't have worried about Bob because he needed a bit of luck, a good cross. If someone had stuck it away, you're talking about Oscar Bob contributing again. So, but I agree with you. It's about time Grealish got back. But then I look at it again. It's very contrary, this or odd that Bob started, Doku came on, no Grealish. Mm-hmm. He's not saving him because we have 5 days rest. But so that's the injury update. What's your 11 then? Is it going to be very similar to the last game?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those games now. Obviously, I was quite confident with the Tottenham one. I got 10 out of 11, but I was confident I would get 10, at least 10 of that. And it was only Bob for Doku. It was only Bob for Doku. And he rewarded Bob. So that was what that. Otherwise, I think Doku would have started. He just rewarded Bob for the Newcastle goal. Simple as that. And I don't think there's anything else in his mind. So I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised when Doku came on for him because I think that's the 11 he probably would have played normally if he hadn't been rewarding Bob.
I don't think he was just rewarding Bob. I don't think he was just rewarding for the goal at Newcastle. I think Oscar Bob is in between Grealish and Doku. He offers some more control than Doku, a la Grealish, and he also offers the ability to.
He wanted him to do a job like he asked Grealish to do, which is what he does. But as you said, there's a little bit of edge to Bob as well. And other teams don't know him very well either, which big difference. People know Jack Grealish, they know his traits, what he does, what he doesn't do. Bob's still a bit of a mystery to a lot of opponents at the moment.
So, well, rattle through your 11 then.
Yeah, so I'll go through it. This is what I ended up with. Ederson's back. We're safe on that one. Now, I've gone for Lewis again because he's not had a game for ages, has he? He's not played for a long time. So why not Lewis, Diaz, Aki and Gvardiol? So kick Walker out, Rodri, Bernardo, Foden and KDB. And I'm going to give Alvarez another go and Grealish, only the fact that we don't have a central man otherwise unless Alvarez plays, unless he plays a false 9.
So basically you're dropping Walker for Lewis and you're dropping Kovacic for KDB.
Not because he had a bad, because he was very, very good, of course. But it's just if Kovacic plays, then he'd come in for Alvarez, and we'd play some sort of false 9 concoction. That's all I could think.
But at home we don't. Well, can we still not play a false 9? We've got Bernardo, Alvarez, Foden, KDB, and if you've got Grealish, that's our 5.
I was saying we could still do that, but obviously with Alvarez, is more you're thinking he's going to play. He never has. He never plays that Haaland role anyway, does he? No. But it's Kovacic is the funny one. And when's he going to play Núñez? I mean, this is a sort of game where Núñez should be coming into it because it's a game we can win comfortably. But when's Núñez? If you don't play Núñez, when's he going to play?
Could you see? Okay, I'm going to throw this out there. I'm going to throw it out there. Now you mentioned Núñez's name. Him starting Núñez and keeping KDB on the bench and bringing him on if and when we need him.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to see 60 minutes of KDB, but I don't. I wouldn't be surprised if what you just said is correct, and Núñez would be the obvious choice to. Well, Núñez or Kovacic, but Núñez is a bit more creative, so perhaps put him in.
Because the reason I'm saying it, because if Haaland's not ready to start, which he shouldn't be, he's been out for 6-7 weeks, so he shouldn't be ready to start. Then, I mean. You don't want to give KDB too much to do. 20, 30 minutes again is for me, that's fine. And give Núñez, otherwise Núñez is going to be another Calvin Phillips. He's not going to get.
He's only going to get harder. So if he's not playing in these games, when's he going to play?
Luton away in the FA Cup. Yeah. So, but no. I mean, I'd be tempted. Because you mentioned Núñez. But it's hard. It's hard because Kovacic has played 2 good games against Newcastle and against Spurs. He's played 2 good games. You said it. One of my mates, what's his name? Neil Mather. You know Neil. Your mother, he was the City's City women's first coach. It's quite funny actually on Twitter when people start criticising him and say, "Well, what do you know, mate?" Well, he used to be a professional footballer and a manager, so he's not a dummy. We're the dummies. Well, Waldorf and Statler. But yeah, so I'm going to go for. I like some of what you said.
Yeah, that's what I said. If I get 8, I'll be happy with that because I'm not 100%.
I agree. For me, I don't want Walker to play because he does.
No, Walker needs a rest. Not Walker. I mean, people are bigging him up. I've seen a lot of glory on X about how well he was, how well he played, how well he's been playing. But
I got that, and I thought, I just think, well, he made that mistake. They weren't massive. And Diaz, that mistake. You know, you might call me picky, but. You know, if you get lucky, people forget about these if they're little mistakes. If you get punished for them, you know, they still try and forget because Diaz is great and all that. But I think Walker needs to be dropped. The thing is, if Walker's out, he'll look at it as being rested. He needs to be dropped for me. I'm going with Edison. I'll go with you with Rico Lewis, Diaz. You know, I want Gvardiol there, but it's not going to happen. I'd have Aki on the left, Rodri in the middle, Nunes, Foden, and then I need 3 up front. And I'll go with you. I'll go with Grealish. You can't leave Grealish on the sides all the time. Alvarez and Bernardo Silva. So play that false 9. I mean, the way we've been doing it since Haaland's been out is been playing with that false 9, and I like it. I like that false 9. But I also like the option that we've got. The problem is when Haaland's fit and playing, he plays most of the 90 minutes unless we're, 3 or 4 or 5-0 up or whatever. And in a tight game, we don't ever steer away from that because in a tight game, Haaland doesn't come off. And Pep, I don't think Pep's got the courage. Not calling him a coward, but I don't think he's got the courage to take Haaland off and go back into a false 9 and say, I'm sorry, it didn't work with you, Erling. We're going to play this last 20 minutes with a false 9. We're dragging you off. But that's it. I'm not saying, I'm saying KDB doesn't start. I'm saying Johnny Stones doesn't start. I'm saying Haaland doesn't start because in all honesty, with Burnley's record, we shouldn't need them. We shouldn't need them at home. They're rubbish and we're great.
Which leads us to a prediction.
Go on then, mate. Go on.
I'll tell you what, mate. I think we're on a clean sheet roll at the moment, so I am confident we'll get a clean sheet. But I'm only going 3-0.
Only that's not
only
bad.
3. I was going 5 at one stage, but I've gone down to 3.
I'm thinking we've got 5 days before next game.
I'll tell you what, mate. We do need to get the goal difference up.
Yeah, because actually our goal difference
Liverpool's is far better now. Well, he's better now, isn't it?
Theirs is 4 better than ours.
Let's face it, they're our competitor this season.
Yeah. Well, Arsenal, look, we're basically against Arsenal. Our goal difference is 3 better than theirs, and we've got the same number of points. We played a game less than them. So
same with Villa. Villa are on the same points as well, aren't they? But
yes. So it's tight. We can't afford it because look, Spurs. If for argument's sake we lose a game, well, Spurs are only 3 points behind us.
Can't lose any games now, mate. That's it. Until we go to Anfield, might be, until we go to Tottenham again. We can't be losing any games.
There's 18 games left. There's 54 points left. We can still get to 97, mate. We ain't doing that. But out of those 54,
we get to 90, we'll win.
I think we'll have a very good chance if we get to 90, especially if we do something at Anfield. Even a draw, I think. But what was your score then? 3-0?
3-0. And Andy Morrison was 4-0.
Oh, go on. 5-0. 5, Burnley 0. Go on. Go on, lad. Well, no, I'm going to look at this.
So it'll be 2-0 to Burnley then.
I'm looking at it this way. I'm looking at it that our guys, the ones who don't get games, we need to show Pep. And I'd like to think, I'm not sure Grealish will, but if Grealish says, look, I need to show what I can do for the 90. And Nunes says, I need to show what I can do for the 9. And Lewis. So I'm hoping that these players, and Stones comes back for 20 minutes, and Haaland comes back for 20 minutes at the end, and they want to prove themselves. when Burnley are tired, we get, and everybody's going basic, and KDB comes on for half an hour. So everybody's going at it for longer, excuse me, rather than, we've got the first team out on the pitch and with, 2-0 up, and we just take it easy. But I think with a few more players who are eager to show them what they can do, I think we'll hang on in there. On a final point, I've got to give you some good news. I don't think you weren't here on my last stream, and I give everybody some fantastic news.
You got it stuck back on?
The lad got it stuck. Honestly, he went to that shop at least 4, possibly 5 times. And I remember 3 in my head. And then the last one, he left it on a Friday. The manager said, leave it in the shop and pick it up on Monday. He went in on Monday, and the woman said, no, we don't accept things over the weekend, for you to leave it over at the weekend. So, basically do one. And he said, call the manager. He's only 16. He said, call the manager. He said, I got a receipt as well. I don't think he swore. Clip right there if he swears, but he's got a receipt. And the manager, he said, go and look at your CCTV. You got to see, and and the manager said, yeah. Anyway, so it's stuck on. So fingers crossed it stays there. I've got 2 of these home shirts. One, my kids got me the home shirt with the Ray on the back. One Mike got me, and so the Mike one, I was thinking I'll get one done, see what it looks like, and I'll go and get the second one. I can't be bothered with that now. It's £8, mate. £8. Why would I? When it becomes a collector's item, I don't think it will. Then I'd say, I wish I'd got that, that FIFA badge, because all shirts are going for £150 or whatever. And I'd have flogged Mike's. Anyway, guys, that's it. Hopefully, you'll be going. I need to get a pass from the missus to go on Wednesday night. I've chat with Bernard about that. I'm under the thumb now. I'm under the thumb. Family man. You got to do stuff for your family. I think the days of me going to 30 odd games a season are gone, mate. Going to a lot of away games, they're out the window. It's very tough to get to away games. So anyway, that's enough babbling for us, especially from me. Say thank you to Bernard. We'll be back hopefully on day after the game to do a day after review. We didn't do one after Spurs because obviously Bernard was on court.
And just remind everyone who's going, it's 7:30 kickoff. I know we've gone back 40 years, but it's don't be turning up at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, you miss half the game.
Well, actually, the thing is that 7:30 kickoff is tough. It's a tough one for fans because we need that extra half an hour with all the traffic. Especially if you're living outside Manchester, and sometimes these weekday matches.
What is the logic? But do we have a logic why it's 7:30?
Well, it depends what other games are taking place, doesn't it? I guess
TNT and is it TNT? But I mean, I thought they were normal anyway.
It's a bit odd because on that night there'll be a few games. They're staggering it because there's 3 games and they want a bit of each. So there's City against Burnley, Spurs against Brentford starts at 7:30. Liverpool Chelsea, that's the big game, starts at 8:15. So they stagger it so that you can watch one of the first games, and then the second game you can either watch the full game or the second half. So, but it's not good. I mean, the problem is you can't start it after 8:15. I think that's probably the latest you can start it.
Well, it is in this country because we shut down after about 10:30, don't we? 11 o'clock. So
you still get a tram at 10 o'clock at night.
It's about 11, 11, half 11 or something.
Right, guys, that's it. That's enough. I don't know how we squeezed half an hour out of a Burnley preview, but there you have it. We'll come back on Thursday and give you a day after review. I might try and do something on Thursday night and get something out. But to be honest, if the game starts at 7:30, it'll finish at 9:15, something like that, 9:20. By the time you get out the ground and in your car and blah blah blah, it's 10:30. You get home at 11. I don't think anybody wants to see my ugly face at 11 o'clock at night and give you nightmares. Anyway, thanks a lot, Bernard, mate. You take care. Yeah, and you guys keep it here at City Fan TV. We'll see you around Blues.